2. Slickbritches is Hoss-Mackerel. The boys of the trap fleet were set on the wharf as usual between trips, betting on the goals as to which would be the next decker at the spiles, when Bowleg Bill, the seagoing cowboy, shows up. We have been hearing yarns for years about the wild Wyoming bronco buster and the uncommon happenances which are told of him since he took to seafaring. And now all of a sudden, on our own waterfront, here he is personal. But for all his rare seamanship, not even Bowleg Bill himself, the personal of the Splinter's dream, is going to take up much slack among the boys that goes out for swordfish and Hoss-Mackerel. Hoss-Mackerel is a name we give to Cape Cod waters on the off-Cape foreigners called tuna. For a few days each summer they strike and get caught in weirs and float traps, which we set in the harbor for smaller fish. This summer the run of Hoss-Mackerel is heavy for the traps, and while the boys are talking of the elegant stock so it's rolling them up in, Bowleg Bill paces forward and aft on the wharf like a tomcat on the other side of the fence, which figures he is missing something together. Finally, the talk is more than he can put up with, and he talks over the Yank Daggett, who skippers a toss-up, who is a fine line fisherman of the harbor fleet. This here Hoss-Mackerel, Bowleg inquires, is a sassy varmint, is he, stranger? The Yank nods. The strike is running uncommon heavy this season, with a long streak of hell in each of them. Real corn-fed he-man's work, is it? Riding herd of them? Well, you got to know what the gaff means. Hoss-Mackerel is no business for a green hand. Bowleg Bill paces wharf a couple more times, then comes back. What do you reckon the critters will weigh on the hoof? Up to rising 1,000 pounds. Most of them come 100 to 900. Now, ain't that a shame, said Bowleg. Not enough to kick dust in your eye. I was figuring I might admire roper fuel than where they come from. Well, we don't bother with a rope on nothing under a couple of tons. That is, if it's any good. Smoke sorting bowl with half a ton of devilment thrown in. The Yank bends a long grin between his ears. You just throw back the small fry, huh? Well, them little fellers we pick up bare-handed are the belly slack and toss them in the pans. The Yank nods. Makes it handy, don't it? But with us, we got to watch out for the tail. The Hoss-Mackerel's tail ain't no slack hawser or soft, ending with a bunch of loose rope yarns. When you get Hoss-Mackerel, you want to make certain sure you don't get slapped by the gun with its tail. Huh? Said Bowleg. I have yet to meet up with any critter, two-legged or four, strangers, which I couldn't hear in that section. Where's your foreman? I'd like to show you fellers how to haze your herd, in a way that's done back in old Wyoming. I'm skipper here, the Yank says, but we ain't taking on no greenies while the run of Hoss-Mackerel keeps up. Mister, said Bowleg, if you're a betting man, I'd just hit on the trail with you and corral them things out yonder. If I don't, cut me out one of those your full-grown Hoss-Mackerel and bring him in bare-handed without using none of them long-handled prod sticks. I'll pay you 20 silver dollars. Marry your meanest akin. Well, Yank figures this big cowboy is mistrays in the August heat, but he has heard of many yarns about him, and finally he takes the bet. The boys at the wharf hurry up and spread the news, and before dark the whole town was talking of the off-Cape lunatic who was going after Hoss-Mackerel bare-handed. Big odds is offered against Bowleg, and these people knows fish, and there were no takers amongst them. Next morning the whole harbor is cluttered up with dories, pungos, and anything down to the harness casts, which the citizens can climb aboard and watch the toss-up draw its straps. As a fishing port, the town has took Bowleg's bet to heart as an insult, as he gets many hoot calls aplenty in the way out. Even poor old Cap Dyer, who's been shorebound 20 years with a backsliding vertigo, is out there in one of the boats. Better go back inland, young feller, says Horace. You don't know what's waiting for you out in that net. Don't you worry about me, Grandpa, Bowleg says. It's a mighty shaky caboose you're driving there. You get covered pronto if you start a stampede. At the first trap, there is thrashing in whitewater, and commotion like a hurricane stupid up under them net buoys, and in the middle of it, the biggest Hoss-Mackerel Yank Daggett has ever seen. And the minute Yank does see him, he forgets all about Bowleg Bill and forgets everything about the great blue silver body and 6 foot of slapping, thrashing tail. And he stands ready with his gaff while the boys haul on the net. Bowleg gets a measure of the big feller, and he climbs over alongside the Yank. That one over yonder, he says. Will he weigh up to your bet? He'll weigh up to it. He's 2,000 pounds if he's a Scotch one, you blubber. All right, boys, Bowleg sings out. Give me a clear field. And he pushes Yank and a couple others aside and yells at the Hoss-Mackerel. Come on, little doggy. Get after you, blessed peg farmer, Yank hollers. That fish is big money, and I ain't leaving it to no goddamn greenie to lose him. Now just keep your britches dry, boss, said Bowleg, and lift that daggone spear out of my rope. I picked up my animal, and I'm gonna go after him for all creation in a barbed wire fence. Come on, little doggy, come on. He reaches out and gets a hold of the fish in the small, and he heaves through how in tarnation he figures to swing aboard 2,000 pounds of game fish that way. Only an inland farmer might know. The tail slips clear out of his hands, and the Hoss-Mackerel slips clear out of the backbone of the net. Look out, Yank hollers. He's clearing away. Oh, no, he ain't, Bowleg answers, and over the side he goes, boots and all. And before the fish has got under way, there is a shadow-witted cowpuncher sitting astride, whipping astern with his hat and hollering like a yahoo bird on every dead sailor come from hell. Whoopee! Hi yip yip! Show us some buck now, you white-livered snubbing beetle, before I sell you off to a liver stable. Come on here, Slickbritches, hip! And away goes the silver devil, and he jumps and reaching clean out of the water like a porpoise. But when he comes down again, there is Bowleg Bill, still astride, still fanning his tail with his wide outrigger hat. The Yankee gives a groan. There goes the biggest catch and the goddamnedest fool that has ever set loose in these waters. But somebody aboard one of the craft hard by us sets up a cheer. Ride him, cowboy! And the other folks take it up, and until the harbor there is a wide sing-out of cheers for Bowleg Bill and the Hoss-Mackerel, which he has named Slickbritches. And the worst of yells from Bowleg himself, who was whooping like a wild Injun with a galloping chin cough. Yip, yip, yippee! Come on, you $2 fly roost! Ain't you gonna throw some sand in my eyes? I don't know where he learned it, but somehow that cowboy has took a grip on the Fortin's fin, and no matter how bad Slickbritches broaches, he can't shake him loose. They go scuttling in a wide circle of the harbor, with the big Hoss-Mackerel getting madder every minute. He dives starboard, he lashes larboard, and how about pitchpole his head over. But somehow, and may the devil spit over hell's hottest hearth if I can explain it, Bowleg hangs on, with his knees bared and closed midship, riding as easy as grandma in the Sunday parlor rocker. Then Slickbritches makes one last leap, like a flurry of the ironside whale, up in the air and clean over the bow of the toss-up. Buck away, you overgrown sardine, yells Bowleg. I'll peel you if it takes us to Kansas City. But after that last jump, it was plain that Slickbritches was losing his wind. He stops pitching and jogs along easy among the harbor craft. And Bowleg, sitting there and showing off the water from his knees up, starts stroking the fish and bait the gills and talking to him, and so help me God, little by little learning him to answer the helm. He hauls taut on that fin, Slickbritches takes one tack. He hauls again, and Slickbritches takes another tack. And when he has rode all the crank notches out of him, Bowleg veers about and heads for the beach. They make sure the Hoss-Mackerel is chafing his chin on the tidal flats. Then, just when the whole town is fixing to send up a cheer for the landing of the biggest fish in history, this big bee farmer gives a performance which none of the human folks will ever understand, which I respectfully leave to some goddamn inlander to explain. Instead of beaching that fish, he up and suddenly wraps around him and skips off. Slickbritches heads for the open water, and Bowleg speeds him on his course, splashing after him and flogging him over the tail. The crowd is gathered on the beach, and they are all mad as a school of bees in a tar barrel, for any man who lets a big fish get away has got some explaining to do before the law-abiding citizens of the town. When Bowleg wades out of the water, they all want to know why he done it, and he has gone clean wacky, and hadn't they better get him arrested and locked up as a dangerous character? But Bowleg Bill just shakes his head at the crowd, and there's a sad, long-frayed look in his eyes, and he knuckles a tear off his cheek, and he says, "That poor old Winbrook waterbug, I tell you folks, there ain't nothing that'll break a cowhand's heart so quick as to find a critter to elect or for with the rough raw road out of the first moment."